Welcome to Let's Rewatch It Again. I'm Jordan, and it's as if you're one of those stupid 22-year-old girls with no last name. Hi, I'm Kimberly. Hi, I'm Janice. Don't they know you're supposed to have a last name?
Hi, I'm Emily. You are a lone reed standing tall, waving boldly in the corrupt sands of commerce.
Hello, I'm Kyra. Remember when you thought Frank might be the Unabomber?
Today, I actually have friends here with me. This is Emily and Kyra from Things I Didn't Write My Dissertation On, another
Stuff
podcast.
I didn't write.
Oh,
Stuff I didn't
no.
write.
Dang it.
No, that's okay. You
Oh,
didn't
so
write your
close.
dissertation on our
No.
podcast title.
No,
That's
I
okay.
it's
didn't.
true. It's totally
I
fine.
I had to look up what a dissertation was when you told me that was the title of your podcast. So today we are talking about You've Got Mail, if you did not guess from all of our quotes. And Emily, I almost used the one that you said.
That's the
No
only
one
one I can
used my-
remember. It's so funny. What's your other
Wait,
one?
I was going to
Mine?
say, I'm going to the nut shop where it's fun.
So mine was, I definitely knew I was going to do the Unabomber one. And then I was between, the next one I was going to say is like when Joe Fox goes, I was eloquent. Shit. On the treadmill. And then the other one I was deciding on was like that caviar is a garnish. But
Yes, that's one of my favorite quotes.
I just don't know the way that what's her name? Christina just says remember when you thought Frank might be the Unabomber? It's like I just think it's so funny. And
It's
it just
so good.
sums up Frank in
Hilarious.
one sentence.
So a little bit about You've Got Mail. It's written and directed by Nora Ephron, and she's one of the women responsible for many beloved movies of my personal childhood. And okay, it's only 3, and they all star Meg Ryan, Hanging Up, Sleepless in Seattle, and of course, You've Got Mail. Those were on constant repeat at my house as a kid. I fully admit that I've never seen Harry Met Sally. And this film was also the screenplay was co-written by Delia Ephron, and that is Nora's sister. And Delia is responsible for Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, another favorite of mine. So the synopsis for this movie is a book superstore magnate, Joe Fox, and independent bookshop owner, Kathleen Kelly, fall in love in the anonymity of the internet, both blissfully unaware that he's the one trying to put her out of business. Kyra and I have seen this movie 100 times probably. And Emily, how many times have you seen it?
I've seen it once.
Wait. We gotta give a backstory to how you've seen this movie a whopping one time, which is kind of like the Jurassic Park episode that we did. I flew to California and I basically sat Emily down, tied her to a chair, propped her eyes open, and I played You've Got Mail.
Whoa. So Emily, are you okay after this?
Just barely. I've recovered.
The
It's been
scars
about
are
a month.
fading.
Yeah.
Yeah, the scars are going away. But to be fair, right afterwards we put on When Harry Met Sally. So we spent that day was
Yep.
how do we call it? It was a Meg Ryan double feature.
Right. Because Kyra had never seen When Harry Met Sally either.
And yeah, so rom-com life.
I started to watch Harry Met Sally, but they were in the car and he was like eating sunflower seeds, I think, and like spitting them out the window. And spitting is something I cannot handle in life. And like I just was getting so grossed out, and I was like, you know what? It's not worth it. I'm done.
Honestly, watching that movie again, because I hadn't seen it in a long time, with Kyra, I was like, man, there are some parts of this movie that are so long. And like there's like it's really just a string of scenes kind of. So in the vein of having seen it once, can you guys remind me who Frank is?
Frank
Yes.
was Meg Ryan's boyfriend who says she's a lone reed. He has the typewriter because he was like, what good product
Yes.
came with like technology? And she's like, electricity. And he goes, okay, that's fair. But like you were a slave to the machine, that sort of thing.
Right.
I kind of describe him as like what would be now as like a hipster, because he just likes things that he thinks are like super unique and rare. And he's just kind of quirky. I wouldn't date him, but I mean, that's just me.
Okay, wait, here's a good question. I know we're
Ooh.
totally deviating from your topic.
No, I don't
Like,
mind at all. Go ahead.
out of everyone in the movie, like, would you date someone who was the most dateable?
I don't know, because I feel like I really love Tom Hanks, but I don't know. I don't fall in love with him in this movie as much as I just like him for Meg Ryan.
Same.
this is gonna sound possibly out there. I kind of like George.
No, like the goofy other guy who works at the bookstore.
Yeah,
Remember
I
Emily?
Oh
yeah.
yeah, I know
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
I like him. I've always liked him as an actor. He just seems like a cool, fun dude. I like him.
I feel like Meg Ryan is a clear choice here too.
Well, I mean, she's Meg Ryan, so
Right.
but I like her best friend, Christina.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
Christina
Oh
was my
yeah.
answer.
Mhm.
I think I would have had the best relationship in terms like with everybody, probably Christina, because like, you know, she's sweet, she gets along with everybody. I wanted to say Dave Chappelle's character, but I'm also like, maybe not. Or, you know, Tom Hanks's dad for money.
Well, a lot of people did that, so you're not
Yeah,
alone.
see?
You just have to be the
Yes.
nanny. That's all.
Well, no, because remember the nanny move like then ends up running away with the wife.
I know,
So
but like apparently he keeps marrying all the nannies, and so it's just like a constant problem. And then the nanny finally runs away with his wife. Yes,
yep.
exactly.
Karma.
It's beautiful. It's poetry. Beginning of the movie is a little bit weird with all the computer graphics that are super outdated, like super duper outdated.
I was gonna say one of my notes is just the dial-up noise.
Well, and also the song that plays is apparently called the puppy song. What?
Yeah.
Like it's a little odd. I don't know.
I've got to say that I really like the opening sequence, like with the dial-up sound, and then like it starts building a virtual world, and then it slowly transitions to New York City, slowly waking up. I thought that one was cool.
I like
the
the
internet
click
highway
to open. Oh yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I just realized though, guys? Like kids these days won't get this movie. Like
Mm.
like there's no more AOL. It's just Gmail and the whole like they don't know the sound of dial-up. They don't know, you know, that you've got mail. Anyways,
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
just lamenting the good old days, quote end quote.
well, because or like everyone is too accessible. So I think that's the difference between the way the movie goes and today is like at one point in the movie they're talking about how like, oh, and then there's blah 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 bliss, and that's why there's no phone. And like today it would just be like, well, maybe his phone died, and that's like, well, his friend next to him didn't have a phone. What about the stranger next to him and the other guy on the subway? Like it's just like it's too easy to just always access someone somehow in way too many forms.
Okay.
The beginning of this movie told me exactly what kind of movie it was going to be, and like a little bit of its time in the way that the actors act, like the acting style, because in the very beginning scene, that's when the like the partners of each of these main characters are leaving, right? And so they're like tiptoeing around in like to make sure that they've left, and it's just very theatrical the way that she's bouncing around and then like sneakily goes over to her computer, and it just feels very kind of slapstick and like 80s.
Oh my gosh, that's my favorite style.
It's really cute, honestly.
Yeah.
It's really funny.
When you said, oh, he didn't have a phone, you know, so I think my question was, could this movie have been made now? Like the whole premise of it. But I kind of answer my own question in my head, which is it could be you would just have to change, like some things would change. Instead of they met in what, an AOL chat room for people over 30, they would like nowadays it would be what, Reddit, you know? Like, oh, they met in a Reddit room.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. Like it still happens today. Like you talk anonymously with some random person, and then like I know that there are people that have met through Reddit.
Yeah, or
Wow.
Discord or something, which
Or
is how we met
Discord.
Emily.
It could totally happen through Discord. So to avoid the phone thing, I was thinking like they haven't met at all, right? And so when they do, maybe they like don't get each other's number or something, like they don't know that much about each, like you'd have to carefully construct it so that they don't have the number, or like they lost their phone or something.
Or their phone died.
Simple as that.
But like Jordan said, like what about somebody else's phone?
Of course, now that I'm saying that, or now that you're saying that, I'm realizing people don't memorize numbers. So even if your phone died, that doesn't mean that you retain the information that it had. Like I know my own phone number. I know my parents' numbers because I had to memorize them as a kid, but I can't tell you what my sister or brother's number is. And I use their numbers every day, but I don't really because I just tap on their name. It's like,
Yeah, that's true.
what's to say?
I memorized my husband's number. I have my parents' numbers memorized, but then if you weren't a friend of mine in middle school or earlier, I don't know your number.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, I still know my friends' home numbers, but most of them don't have home phones anymore.
Even though
Mhm.
we grew up with home phones, it feels really far away. Like it doesn't feel like
Yeah,
just 20 years ago, which is, oh my gosh, over 20 years ago is when this movie came out because it was 1998. Oh my
98.
goodness.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah. I like how the intro to like their lives goes, how they both go to the same Starbucks, how they both like have this really cool shot where they're both walking on a sidewalk that kind of meets and they cross. And he goes into the Starbucks like right after she does, which also the fact that she goes to a Starbucks makes me a little bit sad because she has like an independent bookstore, but then she goes to Starbucks. This whole
It's
movie,
product placement.
yeah, it feels like a huge product placement ad of like Starbucks and the AOL and the this is basically Barnes and Noble, but like or Borders at the time. But like I just wish that she went to like a cute little local coffee shop and that would have been like a little extended family for her along with the bookstore people. I don't know.
Yeah, that would have been really cute if like she went to the local one and then he went into the Starbucks, but the line was really long, so he went to the local one instead, and then they crossed like
or what if she was the Starbucks goer and he was the independent coffee shop owner, showing the duality of mankind? That would have been funny too, because like, if her business, obviously, spoilers for the end, her business shuts down and then the independent coffee shop, survives, showing, it's not
Yes.
necessarily about dealing with the competitors. It's how you like, because, oh, okay, sorry, now I'm totally skipping ahead.
No,
But
let's just
there
get
was
into
this,
it. Don't even worry. Let's just skip around. I like it.
I saw this thing on Instagram Reels, and they were like, the business failed because she was hiring three other people and paying them full salaries. If she let them go, she probably would have been able to at least break even before completely having to fold.
Well, I mean, like, I know Birdie like runs the books, but like, did she need to be there all the time? Also, Birdie says that she's like crazy rich. And at one point she says, I bought Intel when I was 6. And I'm
I
like,
bought That was another quote I wanted to use.
but I had a question because I was watching it the other day in preparation for this. And I was like, wait, so when she was 6 years old, she bought Intel.
I bet she bought into it. She
Like
bought
stocks.
Into Intel.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, yeah, the stocks. But I'm like,
Yeah.
but you were 6.
Some people have lemonade stands. Some people have
Some people
Have stocks.
Intel.
stocks.
Some people
Yeah.
have Intel.
She could have said it weird. I mean, like, I
Yeah.
have Coke shares because my grandparents bought them for me when I was little, you know?
Oh,
It could be something like that.
that's actually really cool that you have that, by the way. Like,
It's
Are
not
you
there, it's like one or two or something. It's not
but it's
worth
so cool.
anything.
But yeah, I'm like, what is Birdie doing? Like, what is she even doing? Or
Not
Chris?
helping.
No. But I mean, Christina, I feel like she probably could have kept Christina. But like George, we see him work a little
They
bit.
all did the same job. They were all
Yeah.
cash, like they all like ran the store.
Well,
Yeah.
so were they full-time employees or were they part-time employees?
I think Christina was part-time,
Yeah, because she mentioned something about like I have to write a paper and that she would have to get another part-time job. So I'm like,
but the
maybe.
other two it's ambiguous, because so then regardless, you still have three full-time, one part-time for a small store.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think they could have cut that to two and then
Mhm.
give Birdie like an hourly wage as needed as she runs the books. God,
Well,
I sound so
yeah.
heartless.
No, but like, really, does Birdie need to be there more than one day a week? Probably not.
Kyra's gonna walk in and be like, "We're gonna save this store. You're fired. You're fired."
I remember there, it hints at it saying they're opening a Fox Books, and
Mhm.
Meg Ryan or Kathleen Kelly just says, no, 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 we'll be fine because we care about the customer. So then it
Mm.
becomes down to, and there's another question I can pose to you guys, like, do they prefer a better deal or do they prefer like special, like,
I feel like if you make those two things meet in the middle, that's where people like feel special, but then they also feel like they're treated special by like getting things because it's a store, so they want something from the store. So if they feel like they got a good deal while being like treated in a special way, then I think it kind of like keeps going. Kind of like the reason why I think a lot of stores do rewards and stuff like that. I don't know. I'm like one of those people that I worked in a lot of retail. So I'm like, there had to have been a way to do like a kid's book of the week. And like that kid book is like 10% off or 20% off and makes you feel like, ooh, it's a really good deal, even though that's not that much. But it makes that kid go like, everybody has to have this book this week because it's like the book everybody's reading. It's the cool book. I don't know.
Well, so they showed her doing like readings for kids, right?
Yeah, but I think that was normal.
Yeah.
Like on Saturdays. It was like
Yeah.
on the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I was just thinking of like the specialized attention that she gives, right? Is like
Yeah.
that. And like I would prefer to go into a cute little warm and cozy shop, like bookstore,
Yeah.
and figure out a book that I want, rather than a huge store with tons of books. However, the thing that gigantic bookstores have going for them is that they have so much selection that it sucks when you do walk into a bookstore looking for a specific book and they don't have it because they're a small place and they can't have every book. But they can order it. So if you can be patient, then that's fine. But the other bookstore just has it.
I feel like they didn't try enough. They just put up decorations and said, hi, Macy, or whatever your name is, which is good, but it's not enough, clearly. It does make me sad that she ultimately loses her business, but like gets the guy at the end. I will say that's the hard thing I have about the ending.
So that was my main feeling about it. I've like watching it, I think it's endearing. I think the dialogue is really cute. I think it's kind of weird that this guy puts her out of business and then decides that he loves her and pursues her romantically. And I know that it's supposed to be, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I felt like the implication was that it kind of freed her up to do her dream, which was writing. But I didn't really see her doing that. So if you're not paying attention to that context, it kind of looks like he just put her out of business and then tried to date her.
Yeah, there was only like one line that kind of pushed that notion too. It was like she said, my mother opened this door and then she gave it to me. So I'm going to give it to my daughter. So there's, whether or not she's passionate about the store, I think she's also keeping it out of love and respect for her mom's memory and the hard work that her mom put into it. But I mean, I think, I'm definitely diving a lot deeper than the movie was, but then you have that kind of battle with, are you losing yourself to maintain someone's legacy or memory? And then, like you said, Emily, she's not getting to fully pursue her dreams.
So I actually agree that I don't think you're going too deep for the movie, because there is a part where she's emailing and she's saying that she worries that her life is too small and she wonders if she likes it that way because it's comfortable, or like, should she take risks? And I feel like she does take a risk by like going on the news and like all these different things, but she did want to write and do other things. But she was so comfortable, she didn't even have to consider, oh, I want to be a writer, and that's really scary. And there's no safety in the publishing world. There just really isn't. I mean, J.K. Rowling can tell you that probably.
That is fair. I mean, her like controversy, like just keeping it solely from the book point of view, and her controversy aside, like she's tried to put forth other works and they have not been well received.
Exactly.
Compared to the Harry Potter books. And does that make it her a one-trick pony? I don't know, but
I think it makes her really lucky. Like she released those books at just the right time that all of us as kids could kind of like grow up with these characters, and it just worked really well in that specific moment. And now they're kind of outdated, like out of all of the other books that are available.
Well, yeah, because now there's so many more categories and characters and stories to tell that it's like, okay, well, that was a good stepping stone. So, okay, here's something that bugs me every time I watch it. Kathleen and Joe are both clearly in love with each other, but they're in active relationships. Like, he's living with his girlfriend, supposedly. Frank basically lives with Kathleen. And like you said, Emily, they're tiptoeing around in secret. So like, this is not like known. Oh, I have a chat room friend. It's like a secret relationship.
Yeah, it's really weird to me that it's shown as being a really cute, funny thing with them tiptoeing around, but they're having an emotional affair with this internet person while they're actively in other relationships, living with those people. Like, you guys.
Yeah.
Okay, wait. I have to go back to California a month and a half ago. We start the movie, and the first thing Emily does is just like look at watching the movie, and then she just says out loud, "Are they cheating on their like partners?"
Oh no.
And then the next scene is when Meg Ryan goes up to, or Kathleen Kelly goes up to Christine, and she goes, "Is it an affair?" And then
Yes.
Christina's like, "Well, are you having sex?" And so that was their discussion. And I'm like, wow, Emily, you are almost in tandem with this movie.
They basically each have the same conversation with their best friend. Like Kevin and Christina both ask them, like, aren't you with Frank? Aren't you with Patricia? And Kathleen and Joe both go, oh yeah, I guess I do like Frank. I guess I do like Patricia. Like, what? What do you mean you guess? Like,
ooh, Emily's ready to fight.
I'm just
Let's
saying,
go.
you guys don't have to be in a relationship if you don't want to be. Like, if you're just like, they're fine, like, don't be in that relationship. Like, you obviously don't like each other that much. Like, you're okay with each other, but like every time the couples would have a conversation with each other, they clearly didn't really see eye to eye. They didn't have like the same goals. They didn't have the same personality or energy towards each other. And it's just, you guys, it doesn't make it okay to cheat just because you're not happy in that relationship.
Okay, this is not a but trying to justify it. It's a different kind of but, I promise.
Okay.
But that falls in line again with Kathleen being afraid to take risks.
Yes.
Like, she was complacent.
I absolutely agree. And I think it makes total sense. I can't expect characters to be perfect. Yeah, it makes total sense because it's the kind of thing that you would accidentally find yourself in a situation of, where you're like, I don't really love this relationship, but it's fine. It's not like terrible, so I guess I'll stay in it. But then you kind of accidentally start veering off to somebody else.
The other thing that I really wanted to bring up today was the thing that Emily said too while we were watching it together. And she said this movie passed the Bechdel test.
Okay. Yeah, because the women actually talk about business.
Yeah.
Arguably more than the men do, actually.
They're regularly talking to each other about the store, about her mom, about like, and they have friends with names. Like, it's
wow, I never even considered that before. Probably because it's so smoothly done that it's not like, look how this passes the test and aces it even. You know, it's like, oh, it just is. How nice.
It's just like they have vibrant social lives with each other and other women, and that's totally normal and surprisingly rare in a rom-com.
Well, and for its time as well, because like no one did that. They just focused on the rom part.
There are only two people in the world and they're going to fall in love.
Well, we know that Joe's dad doesn't believe that at all. So, okay, so let's talk about Joe's dad and grandpa and how they
the Fox family.
The Fox family, and how they're really more like bunnies than foxes, apparently. Sorry.
Ha.
No matter how many times I watch this, I'm still so creeped out by like how young the little girl is and how crazy old her dad is, the grandpa. Because I'm like we never see who her mom is. And I think she's probably 9 or something, maybe 10 tops. And I'm just like, when did this happen? Like, what does that little girl think about her life? Now, obviously it's her normal, like, so why would she think differently? But like,
remind me, she's
aunt?
Joe's aunt. Yeah. So like she's the grandpa's daughter. And then the little boy is his dad's son. So Joe's half brother.
It is so complicated.
Yeah. Well, as Joe says, like, we are the American family. And I was like, I know that's a joke, but like, don't make it
don't make it weird, man.
Yeah, like don't but I do think it's interesting that we only see these 3 children. Like, how did this not happen more times with all of these wives? I don't know. Like, I feel like there are probably more foxes out there and we just don't even know about them.
There's probably several in college at that time.
Oh, yeah, they're just not in the story. That's it.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I feel like the kids were really just more so a vehicle to have like the nanny stepmom storyline go, because and the FOX, so she could realize that he's Joe Fox. And then once that's done, like, it didn't matter.
Yeah, not so much. I mean, we did need kids in this movie since she runs a children's bookshop.
I feel like they don't make romantic comedies exactly the same way as they used to.
Oh, so I actually listened to an interview about that. It was Matt Damon was talking about how movies come out and, used to come out in theaters, and then sometime later, usually about 6 months tops, the DVD would come out. And so you have two like groupings of sales. Well, that doesn't really happen anymore because instead we're waiting for the streaming platform. Most people, like the general public, doesn't buy a DVD unless they're picking it out of the Walmart $5 bin. And so that's why rom-coms just aren't as readily available like in theaters, because they're not going to get the box office hit that like a superhero film or something dramatic, like a war film or something like that is going to get. And so they just go straight to the streaming, and we never get to sit in the big room anymore.
Oh, okay. This is a
Hmm.
tiny thing, but his username is NY152.
Mm-hmm.
That's his address, right?
Yes.
Yep.
That is so unsafe.
But it's also the 90s.
Yeah.
Still unsafe. That bugs me so much.
And it's funny because she guesses that. She's like, or it's his address. And he like kind of stops, like, who would guess that? And it's like, he has lived a very sheltered life, like, because he's so rich. He's never had to worry about so many different things. And as a small female, she has to worry about so many things. Like,
right. And she would absolutely put that together, like, or it's his
Yeah.
address.
yeah, she's smart. She's a clever girl. That's not a small thing. I think it's a pointed thing. I mean, hers isn't that far away from what she does either.
That's
Shop
true.
girl.
But it's more vague because it
It
could just be
is.
like girl who likes
How many-
shopping.
I'm
Hmm.
surprised it wasn't book related, though.
Yeah.
I feel like they could have been more creative with that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, no, I definitely think she would have been more creative than that. Like, or even if she had used like her favorite flower. I mean, we mentioned daisies a lot. Like, it could have been like Friendly
Mhm.
Daisy or something like that. Like, that would have been cute.
But she also likes Pride and Prejudice, so she could have been like,
It could have been a reference.
yeah, Pemberley girl, something. I don't know.
Okay, so I have to fully admit, I've never read or seen Pride and Prejudice.
Me either.
Next,
Really?
Okay, all right. Okay. Well, I know what we're doing for another episode because
No, it's so long. Oh,
I'm rereading the book right now, and I
Wait.
just watched the movie, so it's fresh.
Wait, aren't there several movies?
yeah, there's like all
Yeah.
a bunch
Okay,
of
we can-
adaptations.
I'd say the 2005 one with Keira Knightley and Matthew McFadden, they translate the dialogue. It's not a lot. It's not word for word from the book, and they purposely did that so it could be more relatable.
So that's the one that I tried to watch one time. It just felt so slow and quiet. And also, I'm obsessed with the Hunger Games, and President Snow as a doting father was just like not working for me.
What about the one with Timothy Chalamet?
That's Little
Isn't he
Women.
in one? Oh, it
That's
is?
Little Women.
Yeah, that's Little Women.
I've never seen Little
Smack,
Women either.
smack,
Aren't there
smack.
several versions of that too?
Yes,
There are a lot of
1994.
versions of Little
Oh
Women.
my god.
Everyone listening to this
Okay.
is gonna hate me by the end.
I hate you by the end of this.
I know you do, and I'm okay with that.
Okay, all right. Let me just say, I'm like a classic novel fiend, and I will say I'm literally playing this game on my iPad, like not sponsored by. It's called Dear Reader, and you have to fill in the blanks of classic novels, including
Oh.
Dracula. So I'd finished Pride and Prejudice. I finished Hamlet. I'm working on like Little Women right now. 20,000
Wow.
Leagues Under the Sea. So I'm like super into classics. So this is just making my heart so sad. But Pride and Prejudice is the OG enemies to lovers story, and the band. Okay, I'll stop. This
Okay,
is
wait.
not about that.
Does Bride and Prejudice, the Bollywood version, count?
No.
What? Why? It's the best one.
How could you know that if you haven't seen the other ones? Okay, I would be open to watching them. It's one of those things I never got around to because I was having a not like other girls moment in my teens, and so I wouldn't have read it or watched it.
I watched
Yeah.
Wishbone, so I felt like I'd already read them. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's how I know about all the classics, and I can just pretend I haven't read most of them. I don't have to. Wishbone taught me everything I need to know. And then Magic School Bus taught me everything I need to know about science.
I liked this discussion. I know we didn't go play by play, but I love that we kind of got more into like analyzing it. I don't know. I thought
Yeah,
that was
no,
fun
I
for the
really
record.
like it. It's fun. Especially because I'm usually talking about this stuff like just by myself. so so I think it was better to go with this kind of like just talk about everything format. Way more fun. And I loved it. Okay, so my question is, does it bother you that for so long he knows who he is and she doesn't?
You mean
Like,
who she is?
yeah, well, I mean, like he knows that he's the chat room guy and she has no idea. And I feel like he knows for like 6 months. Like, I mean, because we go through basically like Christmas time into what seems like late spring because it's snow is gone. It's like sunny outside. They're like doing farmers markets. I don't know.
So that bugs me, but what bugs me more is that it took her that long to figure it out. Like, there
Mm.
was never a moment of her realizing it. He just had to tell her, and she's really smart, and I felt like she could have figured it out by a lot of the clues.
Do you think she didn't want to believe that it was him? Like she was afraid of that like risk of like it's too good to be true, maybe? So like she
That's a
didn't
hot
let
take.
herself figure it
I
out.
could see that because there's several points where he shows up when it's supposed to be the chat
Yeah.
room guy, and she has this obvious moment of like, is it him? And then he sits in a different place, and it just
Mhm.
feels very obvious that it is him.
Yeah.
So maybe she's just like, oh, it's not. Like,
I don't hate it. I think now I'm just kind of going into like the Pride and Prejudice part of my brain, and I think she's smart, but I think she was a little bit too blinders on about like I don't like him. I think she ignored all the other signs because she was so wrapped up in her dislike of him and for what he stood for. So even if she found out it was him, it wouldn't have made the plot better. I think it would have just I think like had she found out the night when he was they were supposed to meet, I think she would have been extremely upset.
Yeah.
And then like, and then the movie would have just ended.
actually a really good point, Kyra, because if he had said, it's me, she would have never spoken to him again. But this way, he knows and could try, like, keep putting himself in positions to hang out with her and talk to her.
Mhm.
And that's like the only way that eventually she warmed up to him. Although I do feel like that's slightly manipulative, it does feel decently in good faith in this particular context.
Yeah, I didn't see it as he would stop at nothing to get the yes, which is something we talked about in our podcast with rom-coms. I
Mm.
I genuinely saw it more as not even trying to pursue her romantically in the beginning. It was just like I'm more than my father, I'm more than my business. I'm a like he had feelings too and he just wanted to get to know her and then I think towards the end, obviously, it definitely like evolved into an interest romantically. But at the start, I think it was like, you're judging me. Here, she was judging him by the cover of his book.
Ha!
Last thing we'll ask, if you were stuck in an elevator, what do you think that you would suddenly come up with about like that needs to either like change or like happen in your life?
Oh, I would just say, where are my Tic Tacs? No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, wait. Remind me of that scene again. So they get stuck in
So
an elevator, and then
yeah.
that's when he realizes that relationship is just not working
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, because the other guy in the elevator is like,
I'm gonna propose.
yeah,
I'm gonna
like,
marry like
Oh,
my
right.
girlfriend. And then the
mhm,
other one was like, I'm gonna call my mom.
mhm.
And then she's in there with him, right?
Yeah, and
And
she's like,
she's just like,
Where
the
are
whole
my
time.
Tic Tacs? Yeah.
no, she goes,
And
if
he,
I ever get out of here, I'm gonna get my eyes lasered.
and he's like, I want to get a divorce.
Oh my God.
Okay, if I was stuck in an elevator,
For how long was it? Like an hour or something?
I mean, I feel they're all sitting down, so I'm assuming probably an hour or two, maybe
Okay.
longer, but it seemed
see, this
long.
is so dumb now because in this time and age, I'm like, well, I'd have my cell phone. I wouldn't talk to anybody. I would just sit on my phone.
That's the powerful thing is that all these people are just forced to like exist next to each other in a small space. Like,
Okay.
that's
You're in the
intense.
elevator, Kyra, your phone died.
Mm.
Everyone's phone is dead because they all spent the first hour on the phone.
Yeah.
Oh
There you go.
And so their
God,
phones died.
I sound so awful. I'd be like, oh, I'd take a nap.
Honestly, I probably would too. Or like, I don't know if I would come out of it with some profound thought of some way I need to change my life.
Same.
I would just be like, well, somebody's gonna come get us in a little bit. It's just an elevator.
Yeah, same. I think that's sort of how I feel. I'm like, maybe I would just wish I could. I like realistically, I'd like just kind of get lost in my own thoughts. Probably, if I had a book handy, I would just start reading, or like, oh, this would be a really great op-ed to write for BuzzFeed or Medium or on LinkedIn, and then turn into something positive.
You're like, this could be content.
Exactly. How
See?
can I use this?
I think honestly, what y'all just said just kind of emphasizes how our world has like changed our mindsets, because like they're stuck in there, so they're stuck with their own thoughts, and that's it. They don't have like an outlet that's happening. But in our minds, like everything can become an outlet, like becoming content. Like everything can become something completely different that, oh my God, that works for us rather than against us.
Yeah.
And then saying you want a nap, like honestly, maybe that's just something you really do need right now.
Right. Like if you gotta sleep, you gotta sleep.
Yeah. Like
I'm just perpetually tired, guys. Like that's my secret.
well, that's what I'm saying, is that like life gave you a chance to take a nap, and so you took it.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm terrified of elevators, so I would literally just be paralyzed in fear the whole time. I will get in an elevator, but I have zero chill the entire time.
Would you
I
rather
don't
take the
love
stairs?
them.
Oh, I take the stairs more often than not, just depending on the situation. So
Oh, that's
Same.
so
I love
funny.
the stairs way more. As long as it's under like, I don't know, like 4 or 5 flights.
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
take the stairs.
That's so funny because I can do elevators. My thing is escalators. I don't like them.
I don't really like escalators because they get really clogged up with people.
Mhm.
So I like taking the stairs instead because there's almost never anybody on the stairs.
Yeah, there really isn't.
Thanks for having us, and thanks for letting us do a joint episode.
Thanks for listening to Stuff I Didn't Write My Dissertation On, and let's rewatch it again.
Yes.
So if you have any for Let's Rewatch It Again, if you have any comments, questions, or requests for the show, you can send them to our email at letsrewatchitagain@gmail.com. You can also find us at Instagram at Let's Rewatch It Again. And for both of our podcasts, please rate and review and follow wherever you're listening. That is an extremely helpful thing for both of us, all three of us. I almost said for both of us, but you two are more than just one
We're
person.
kind of a nebulous
We're a
person.
unit. Yeah.
Yeah. We're a package deal.
Okay, I
One
love it.
brain cell.
Well, you can find us at Stuff I Didn't Write on Instagram, and feel free to drop us a line at stuffididn'twrite@gmail.com. In addition, we do have a Patreon if you want some extra content. It's patreon.com/stuffididn'twrite.
Nice.
We are doing a fundraiser for Ukraine. So by the time you hear this will be the last week or month TBD for donating to our coffee account. 100% of donations made to the coffee account go to United Help Ukraine. We have a second fundraiser coming up. Hint, hint, rhymes with schmickers. That was so bad. I'll just say it. We have stickers. That's better.
Oh,
We have
okay.
stickers. They just came in the mail today. So once those are live, I will appraise you accordingly.
Yeah, I definitely thought you were trying to say Snickers, and I was like, the candy bar? But okay. All right, guys. This has been fantastic. I really enjoyed it. And everybody listening, we'll catch you next time. Catch you on the flippity flip.
Class dismissed. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.